2 weeks ago, I had a massive trigger attack, like huge. And I want to share this with you because you may have the idea that when you reach a certain level in business, when you make a certain amount of money, when you set out a launch, when you have a top 10 podcast, when you do a retreat, I don't know, you may have this idea and this concept in your head that when you get to a certain level in business, in life, that you won't be triggered. And I'm here to say that is absolutely not the case. The difference is when the triggers are different. And sometimes things that you've worked through in your business or money or relationships then may come up in like a different avenue in your life, which happened to me. So 2 weeks ago, I had a car accident. I was driving back from London to my home here in Surrey, and I had Santiago, my son, in the car. And we had an accident. And literally as soon as obviously, I'd hit the car, Santiago woke up literally screaming, saying, "I'm so scared." And of course, I, as Mama Bear, wanted to keep calm, as calm as I possibly could, to calm him down so I could go out and inspect the car. And I managed to do so and got him settled. My whole body was violently shaking. And I managed to get myself out of the car, walk around and see the other person's car. And I was like, okay. And then I looked around to the front of my car and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, there's a lot of damage here. Like, I was so stunned and so shocked at the speed we were going, because we weren't going that fast because there was a massive a massive backlog on the M25, which then had a massive knock-on effect to our road. So I was so shocked, and when you're so shocked, you're struggling to actually string a sentence together because you're literally in survival mode. And we managed to pull the cars over, take photos, exchange insurance details, all the things. And I got into that car and I just said to myself, I just need to get home. I just need to make sure I can get Santiago home. That's all I need. So I did, got home, and then my husband was back. And, of course, when you're in situations like that, all that matters is that you're safe, whoever you're with is safe, and the person in the other car or cars, whatever situation you're in, is safe, of course. But your nervous system is still in that fight or flight mode, even though you've left the scene, even though you're all safe, even though when I put Santiago to bed, my nervous system was still massively spiked. And I remember getting into bed that night and just sobbing my eyes out. Also because it's the what ifs, and that's what goes wild in your mind. What if this? What if this had happened? What if we'd gone faster? What if this car had done this? And what if something happened to Santiago or me? All of the what ifs were coming to my mind, and I was like, right, I need to stop this. So I got myself out because I was literally in a loop constantly over and over and over again. Got myself out of bed, came into my office and done my own RRT on myself, right? Which allowed me to just regulate my nervous system, calm down, communicate with my subconscious mind that I know you're trying to protect me, and act as if that is happening right now. That's why I'm on fight or flight. That's why I'm on edge. I'm ready to, who's going to pounce? Who's going to pounce? Who's going to get me? So I managed to regulate myself to then go to sleep. So I managed to then go to sleep. Then I woke up the next day, and in my second business, I had a massive business deal that got lost. I say lost, we lost the big business deal in my second business. So this had nothing to do with the car accident. Logically, the conscious part of my brain could understood that. My subconscious mind did not understand that. It did not understand. It saw it as the same threat. The car accident to losing this big business deal. And this is what I talk about when it comes to triggers. It doesn't matter what the actual trigger is. It's the fact you've got a trigger. And what will happen then if you don't deal with that trigger, it will then become a compound effect. And your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between, well, there isn't a saber-toothed tiger chasing me. This is just a client ghosting me. It doesn't understand the difference to them. So in the midst of all of this, I was also in mid-launch, which I had to then cancel because obviously the car accident, and rejig it. We were then going holiday on the Saturday, and it all felt like kind of a bit of a whirlwind, but also a great distraction. Okay, so then fast forward to having the most incredible trip away. We'd sorted the car insurance, we'd sorted all the things like that. We were getting like a car to meet us then when we got back from holiday. So all of this has happened. I've been continuously doing like kind of like my RT on myself to really kind of regulate my nervous system. Now, what then happened? So I got back, and then it was my son's second, no it wasn't, it was his 4th birthday on the Sunday, and on the Monday, I was waiting on the courtesy car, so my sister dropped my little boy to preschool, and then it was Monday evening, we got the car, and then Monday evening I was going to pick Santi up. So from that Monday, all that was ripping around my head was the fact that I had to get back into a car, and my body had the same physiological response to the actual car accident. That is how my body was responding, as if I was back in that car accident again. From the thought of me having to get into that car again. Now, you've got 2 options in this situation. One, you can try and avoid it, which so many people do. I'm talking about a car accident here, but you can be talking about showing up online. You could talk about selling. You could be talking about sending an email, having a conversation with a client about boundaries. It can be anything. You've got 2 options. One, you actually then push it underneath the rug and go, okay. And I could have easily gone, oh, darling, can you go and pick Santiago up? Then I would still have to face that same thing on Tuesday. And then I could have said, oh, okay, could everyone come to me and we'll look after the kids at my house rather than going to London. Then I could have used the same thing on Friday. Not used the car Wednesday or Thursday and then gone to my husband, oh, me and more, can you pick up Santiago Friday, right? So I could just keep delaying it and going, well, it's safer if I just don't get into the car. Or option 2 is you face it. You face it. And with the tools, like RRT, which is what I teach my clients, just the thought alone of me getting into that car was giving me the same response as if I was physically in that car. My subconscious mind didn't understand the difference. And I sobbed. I started crying. I had the same response again as if I was back into that car accident. So then what I'd done was had a word with myself and sat down and done an intensive on myself. Literally what I do with my 90-minute sessions with my girls that I do, my subconscious shifting sessions, or what I do with my one-on-one client that I'm working with for 3 or 6 months. Like I'd done an intensive on myself. And I really had to do busting that belief that I had. My belief was, I'm not a safe driver. I'm going to hurt somebody. Someone's going to get hurt. It's too soon to get back into the car. This is going to happen again. I'm going to literally get into the car and everyone that comes towards me, I'm going to be like, that's what's going to happen. So I had to bust that belief. What was really interesting on doing, that's why if I was to just do affirmations of going, I'm a safe driver, I'm not going to have a car accident again, I'm not going to lose another business deal. Like I could say them until the cows come home, but the problem is that's just surface level. So I'll believe it to a certain degree, my conscious part of my brain, but my subconscious is going, sorry, no, you're not, because look at all the evidence I've got of how you're not a safe driver or how you can't be successful in this line of business or fill in the blank. So I had to do this intensive part of my RRT on myself. And then another layer to this is really doing some deep inner work, because what's really interesting, when your beliefs come up, there will always be, you would have been conditioned with that belief. Now, a belief that came up for me was that I can't do what was the belief? It was along the lines of, like everything I kind of try, I will fail at. That's what kind of came up, like, oh, see, I can't even do this. Oh, see, this kind of happened. And that's come from my childhood. So that's something I had to work on in doing this deep inner child work, that how I felt and was conditioned as a child, that I had to be, I had to do it this way in order for it to be correct and accepted. What it really boils down to, I was so scared to get it wrong. I was so scared to let someone else down from my action. So just as a child, when I was scared to get my maths wrong, like my calculations, I was then scared to be like, come home and be like, oh my God, Mia, I've had a car accident. Say it to my mum, oh my God, mum, I had a car accident. I was in the car with me and Sans. Right? The fear of that, even though I'm near enough 40, even though that was when I was a child, right? The subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference. It's conditioning. It's my blueprint. So not only did I just have to do the RRT, and this is what's really important when I work with the intensive with my clients, is then actually going that level deeper of where this has actually come from. Because within this work, what we do is we go back to that time. So I asked myself, well, when the earliest memory that I could remember of when I felt this way. And then I went and I pinpointed an exact moment of when I was 7 and when I was in this situation where I was so scared to tell my dad something because I was so scared that he would go mad at me and tell me off. And funny enough, another episode that came up for me was another time when I was younger in Ireland and I crashed the car. My dad hit the goddamn roof, right? It was a rental car. He went mad. So as a 39-year-old, that is my blueprint. That's my memory. So I'd gone back to that and it was like as if I was that, obviously I wasn't 7 when I was driving the car. 7 was my first earliest memory. And then when I was I don't know, can't remember. In Ireland, it was a little bit different. You could drive tractors when you were a little bit younger. But anyway, it's besides the point. The point was that was my memory. So I had to go back to that and we had to revisit it. And then I had to replay a different scenario so I could rewire my subconscious mind to associate a new memory with this situation. And that was an absolute game changer. So that tightness in my stomach, I literally had like a black knot in my stomach. And then I felt like at the back of my head was just this constant pressure. That's what I'd felt like. That was how my subconscious mind was perceiving what had gone on with the car accident and losing the business deal. So from doing this deep work, I was able to shift that. I just felt space in my stomach. And when I tried to go back to feeling that feeling of oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble, I couldn't access it anymore. Gone. I couldn't even remember what I had started the RRT session believing. It was only until I went back to my journal, I was like, God, that was what it was. And then I went back to it and I tried to create the feeling and the emotion that I was experiencing before that on purpose, and I couldn't because it was cleared, it was gone. This is how powerful the work that I do with my clients is. And this is what I mean about, this is it's not just about business. Of course, my clients come to me and they go, it's like some of in the last 2 weeks, I'm just going to list out some of the fears that we've got through. So fear of selling. One of my clients was petrified of selling a new offer, right? She had the evidence of how she could sell and she makes money and she signs clients, but she was petrified about selling this new offer. Another client, fear of visibility. Another one, fear of being rejected. Another one, fear of not making enough money. Whoa, that was a good one. Fear of success. Right? Massive one. Fear of another client, fear of not being successful. And that came back from her childhood of not being successful, not getting the grades. Another one of not being good with money. That was a very deep, ingrained belief that my client had. So can you see the triggers can be very, very different. The beliefs can be very, very different. But this work stands in the work that I do with the RRT, the work that I do with your inner child. Because I've been doing mindset work for 6.5 years now, longer, but 6.5 years in business, I have learned so many different tools and techniques of what I teach my clients. So it isn't just one modality. What I love the most out of all these 6.5 years of stuff that I've learned is definitely RRT. It's so freaking powerful. And I think it's even more powerful because I infuse all the other different little bits and powerful bits of the different modalities that I love, like NLP, subconscious rewiring, like all of those codes, shall we call it, that really kind of rewire your mindset is what allows me to create that deep shift of having that time with that clients. And that's why when someone books a 90-minute call with me, I get so excited because I'm like, bring it. What is your limiting belief? What is your stuck emotion? What is that narrative that you're playing out, that habit or that behavior that you want to shift? You want it cleared, you want it gone. Bring it to my table because I am now your subconscious whisperer and I'm going to rewire and reprogram your subconscious mind. So not only do you not get triggered by this belief anymore, but we're actually going to rewire that old blueprint that you had of why you felt the way you did and how we can change that. So then when this comes up again, when this trigger comes up again, whether it be the same trigger or another trigger, your subconscious mind isn't associating it from that memory of when you were 7 or 8 or 9 or however old it was, right? And I've spoke about this before and I've definitely spoke about it tons in my podcast, but one of the biggest triggers that I used to have was my self-worth was so intertwined into my net worth. When I made X amount of money, I was an absolute badass. I was unstoppable. I could freaking do this. Like the confidence led into all areas of my life. But when I didn't set up the launch, I didn't hit the money goal that I wanted to do, it had a massive knock-on effect to who I was, what I stood for, my worthiness, my deservingness, to my absolute core. And RRT has been able to shift that, like absolutely shift it. So now the things that might have triggered me before, like I'm untriggerable with that. And I've, and I love the fact that I get to test myself. And let's say I had a goal and I didn't hit the goal, and I'm like, it's kind of like you're waiting, you're like, wow, like I seriously don't have any of my self-worth intertwined into that. And you can notice it when a launch hasn't gone so well, or when a launch has gone really well. You can test it by going, wow, I literally feel neutral about this. Like, neutrality is freaking queen. And this is why I'm so passionate about this work, because especially in the business coaching world, as a business mentor, I understand and appreciate how important strategy is, but it will never be more important than your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is what is going to execute all of that strategy. And if you have beliefs around not being worthy, not being deserving, fearing success, fearing the judgment, fearing the visibility, fearing that you can sign X amount of clients but you can't double that, fearing that, oh, I made 10K last month, but like, what if I don't make that again? Fearing being able to have the responsibility of making the money that you do, holding the containers for your clients. If you don't actually shift that, then the strategy will not work. So I want to invite you into my DMs so we can have a little chat. I've got two options for you. Two very sexy invites. The first one is I've got my subconscious shifting sessions. Now these are 90 minutes plus 2 weeks Voxer support. Like I mentioned, you bring your limiting belief, your stuck emotion, your habit, your behavior, whatever it is that you want to shift. Let me do the hard work for you. Let me freaking shift that for you. And then you get 2 weeks support after that, just to make sure there's some tap-ins and some touch points, and kind of test that trigger to see, oh, how are we feeling now? So that it continues to be this new neuro pathway. And the second invite for you is if you want to take this work even deeper and you want to marry that with a strategy, you want to really learn how to convert with your content, how to create magnetic messaging, speaking to that aligned, high caliber client to call them in with ease so it doesn't feel like hustle and hard work. It actually feels, I'm doing the work that I was born to do. It feels aligned. It feels good. Of course, there's work to do. I'm not going to say there isn't a work running a business, but there's the work that feels really aligned and connected to who you are, so it doesn't feel hard. It doesn't feel like pressure. It feels more like pleasure and play, and that is my goal. Then I've got two options, which is 3 and 6 months private one-on-one coaching. So if you would want some information about this, then please do send me a DM. If you want some information on the subconscious shifting session, then just message me subconscious. And if you want message on the private one-on-one, then just write private. Do you just help people with their limiting beliefs? Well, no, because I do business as well. But the subconscious work is so ingrained into how you show up for your business. That's why my clients, let's say I had a client that was struggling with visibility in a business. Now, as a business coach, I know how important it is to be showing up, to be delivering your content, your value, so someone can know how to work with you. Now, if you have limiting beliefs, ingrained programming around it not being safe to show up, I've got loads of clients that wouldn't be able to do, when they first come to work with me, wouldn't want to come on live, wouldn't want to do face to camera, right? It feels really scary. Or I've got lots of clients that do, but it never felt safe. They would then second guess themselves, come off the live and go, oh, was that good enough? Oh, did it sign a client? And they're judging all the metrics on how many followers they've got, how much money they're making, how they're selling out their launches, what their downloads were, around their self-worth and how they are, rather than being able to regulate your nervous system so that when you show up, this isn't a show up like, oh, how many people watched the live? How many DMs did I get after this? Did I get any new followers? This is like, this is me, unapologetically, the badass version of myself. I want to bring that out in you. And that comes with working on your subconscious reprogramming, because you're navigating your whole business basically through your limiting beliefs, which is ingrained into you from the ages of 0 to 7. 0 to 7 is when you formed your blueprint. That is why you think the way you do and you feel the way you do, because of what you've been conditioned with. So we need to rewire that blueprint, because when you think and feel very differently, the actions you get is extremely different. And that's why I say to you, and I love to share the context, like, yes, I'll share my client went from 5K months to 5K weeks, right? Yes, I'll share that, of course. Like, it's important. It's a lot of my audience like to see those stats, but what's really, I'd say, even more important is the context behind that. And it was more about her having to work on her subconscious beliefs around her being able to show up as that type of expert, her being able to be seen and be visible, her being able to hold that level of cash. Making 5K months is very different to 20K months. So before that actually happened for her, we had to do the work on the subconscious mind for her. We had to regulate her nervous system around making that type of money. Because making money is easy, but can you hold it? Can you hold it with neutrality? Can it feel like, yeah, I can sign 5 clients, and it's not like you're freaking out because then you start to second guess yourself. Actually, can I deliver this service? Is it going to be good enough? Do they going to want a refund? Are you then filled with the self-doubt that comes after it? Because it's like you can show up online and go, oh, I made X amount of money. But how did you hold that money? How did you feel when you made that money? Were you just like imposter syndrome? You're like, oh my God, I just hit 10K, but like, oh my God, I can't do this again. What are people going to think of me? Is my partner going to expect more from me now? Like all of this stuff that goes on underneath that's bubbling away, if you don't work on that, it's going to have a massive knock-on effect to the reality you're experiencing. And I always say, have a look around everything that you're experiencing right now, and it's all been created from your subconscious mind. And that's why it's so freaking important for us to rewire the way you are thinking and feeling. So we can create those external results. You can have your sold out launches. You can work with the most dreamy, ideal clients, because listen, you shouldn't be dreading when your client DMs you and you're like, oh gosh. You shouldn't be feeling that way. They should be aligned. It should be fun. It should be playful. You should be in your zone of genius, helping and serving the type of caliber of clients that you want to be doing. And this all comes from your subconscious beliefs. So I'd love for us to take this conversation further into the DMs. So you can send me a message, again, private, if you're looking at filling one of my one-on-one spots, which is 3 or 6 months. Or if you'd like one of my subconscious shifting sessions, then just DM me the word subconscious and we can chat. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this storytelling session, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.